Week 12 in the SFL continues right here in Atlanta, Georgia, as the Carolina Skyhawks travel into the Hive to take on the Atlanta Swarm. Good evening, everybody. I'm Mike O'Neill, joined by my partner, DJ Kilgannon, here in the booth. We've got Ron Haynes and Zach Holdorf in the stats truck, and Commissioner Cameron Irvine back at SFL HQ producing for us. DJ, Carolina coming into this game to get that 7th win, and they've been great, no doubt. But let's talk about the home team, all right? Atlanta has a real shot at going on a season-ending run here, but it starts with defending the home turf today.
Yeah, certainly. It's going to be a hard matchup versus Carolina. Carolina being on a tear this season, having 6 wins and only 4 losses, having as many losses as Atlanta does wins. And it's a tough matchup for Atlanta, we talked about. And, they're top 10 in pass plays, but at the same time, Carolina is top 10 in pass defense. We know they're going to want to pass the rock. It's just going to be a matter of if they're going to be able to against this stout Carolina defense.
Absolutely, and as we see here, Carolina is going to get the ball first here. And let's talk about this Carolina offense, right? They've been pretty good this season. They go through some ups and downs, though. It's going to be interesting to see what they come out with here in Atlanta as they open things up. As the kick is going to be returned out from the end zone, and that's going to be taken up. It's going to break a tackle, and that's going to be brought up to the 31-yard line. And that's where we're going to see Marcus Dunhill take over here as the Carolina Skyhawks are rocking the red and white uniforms. How about those?
Yeah, very clean. And Atlanta in their classic dark blue and the mixed side stripes, really snazzy from both of them tonight.
Absolutely. As we get ready to go here on first down, let's introduce this offensive line here first. We've got Kate Palmer and Chad Rowland on the tackles. Ricky Rigatoni and Chris Cross are the guards. Marcus Dunhill under center. We'll get to the wide receivers and the halfbacks here. 1st and 10, spread formation. Dunhill's going to roll out to the right, fire back to his left, and that's going to be covered well by the defender of Atlanta.
Yeah, in a nickel concept that time is the Atlanta defense, and Aquanta Shine just read that little out route from the running back like a book, and gave no room to run after that catch, shut it down for a tackle for loss.
Not how you want to start that here. 2-yard loss, 2nd and 12 here. Dunhill under center. He's got 2 wide receivers to his left, 1 to his right. He's going to send a man in motion. That's going to be number 11, Nolan Pierce, coming in motion from the left to the right. And they're going to hand it off up the middle. That's going to be a good gain of about 4 yards, setting up a 3rd and 8, as that was Harish Prasad on the carry. Harish Prasad joined in the backfield by Riley Quintero. Tony Zoma is the fullback as well. And wide receivers, they've got Nolan Pierce, Chase Earl, Adam Banks, and Chris Curtis, and Vince DeSantis is the tight end here. 3rd and 8. Dunhill under center. He's got 3 wide receivers to his left in a trips formation. Dunhill's going to fire downfield. That's going to be broken up. Well covered there. And that was number 41, Zach Lay, on the coverage.
Yeah, really good coverage as well. And it was just completely blanketed on him and made that whole play, and forces an early punt for Carolina. And you talked about this Carolina offense, 2nd in total rush plays on the season. You expect them to come out of the box with a heavy run look. That time tended to stick more to the pass and really didn't work in their favor.
Yeah, interesting to see the two. The only play that worked on that opening drive there for Carolina was the run. So definitely something to consider as we move forward, as we get ready to see Atlanta come out here. Bryant Dynasty is the quarterback. Halfbacks are going to be Hubba Kimbrell and BDG Hollywood. Fullback is Hattori Hanzo. Wide receivers are Fox Highwind, Siege Falco, Boo Chisholm, and Ryan Roosevelt. Why Not Airlet is the tight end as we get ready for the snap here. 1st and 10. Bryant Dynasty's got 3 wide receivers out. He's going to pass it out to the flats, and that's going to be BDG Hollywood getting it, making a move, climbing the sideline, getting it up to about 9-yard gain there, making it a 2nd 1.
Yeah, the Hall of Famer getting slippery on the sideline, staying in bounds, dodging defenders, and there's a really good run after catch to start off the drive.
The offensive line, Sam Falco and Carter Hollywood are the tackles. Bobby Falco and Roy McCroy are the guards, and Astro Smith is the center. Dynasty's going to hand it off up the middle, and that's going to be a 1st down. That's Hubba Kimbrell on the carry.
Yeah, and we talk about this Carolina defense. They're going to be such a big factor in what this game is going to come down to. In 6 of their 7 wins on the season, they have not let up 14 points. They've only had 1 win where they allowed 14 points against Fort Worth back in week 4.
That's going to be a sack. Wow, what a play on the outside by number 58 for Carolina. And what a play by the defender there.
Yeah, 58 just untouched and barreling Bryant Dynasty into the turf, and that's a hard hit from your blind side.
And correction, that's actually 59, May Carter, the defensive end, getting in there and setting some pressure as Dynasty's under center here. 2nd and 15, a 5-yard loss here. Dynasty's got 3 wide receivers. He's going to sit back in the pocket, fire downfield, and that's going to be picked off. Number 22 coming in with the interception. That's Tristan Hatley. How about that?
Yeah, what a play that was. And, you know, Bryant Dynasty did a good job of, you know, maintaining his presence in the pocket, took a step forward as it collapsed, and threw just an ill-advised throw into triple coverage. But Hatley basically ran the route for the receiver, was blanketed in front of him the entire time, and made a terrific catch and run after the catch, I should say, to gain a lot more yardage and put him well past the 50.
Excellent coverage there by Tristan Hatley. They call a hand on the hip, right, when they're in stride for him. And now suddenly Carolina here in Atlanta territory. Marcus Dunhill under center. He's got 3 wide receivers, 2 to his right, 1 to his left, and a lone back in the backfield. Dunhill's going to hand it off going to the left side, and that's going to be a couple of yards there for Riley Quintero on the carry.
And they're starting to go back to that running game after that first play. And Quintero leading the league in carries at 220 coming into the week. 3rd in yards with 3 touchdowns.
A little bit of a heavier set here for Carolina. See if they go with a run again here. Marcus Dunhill's going to hand it off, and that's going to be Prasad. And that's going to be, they're going to say a gain of 0, so 3rd and 5 here.
Yeah, now the playbook's pretty well open for Carolina. Can really do whatever you want to do in a 3rd and 5. But you had 2 runs that only accumulated a total of 5 yards. Do you risk going with it again?
So 3rd and 5. We'll see what they decide to do here. Carolina Skyhawks. Dunhill's going to send a receiver in motion from right to left. That is number 80, Adam Banks. Dunhill's going to drop back. A little bit of a clean pocket. He's going to escape out. The ball is loose. It's on the ground, and Atlanta's going to pick it up. How about that? Number 55 coming in and picking that up. Wolf Highwind, the defensive end.
Wow, what a lackluster play. Dunhill, you just cannot hold on to that ball that long. He pump fakes, tries to get it away, and Wolf forces the fumble, and then another defender in the backfield. That's the rookie, Baron Went, who was able to dive on that one and recover that huge fumble.
So back-to-back turnovers. DJ, how about that? And suddenly Atlanta's back in it now. So both defenses kind of stepping up to the plate here as we see Dynasty under center. He's got 2 backs in the backfield and 2 wide receivers out, tight end on the end of the line. He's going to fire out to the right side. He's going to try and get it to his receiver. He's looking for Ryan Roosevelt, but great coverage on the back end by number 42 there. It's Davidson Joseph.
Yeah, I was able to play really, really good coverage, and now Atlanta, you got to come back into this one and try and wipe that interception from your memory. You know, we saw the fumble come on the play after the interception was thrown. It's going to give them another chance to shine to life.
The 2nd and 10 here. Wide receiver goes in motion from the right to the left. 2 wide receivers on Dynasty's left, 2 backs in the backfield. He's going to fire it to that motion receiver, and that is going to be incomplete, a little bit in front of him, DJ.
Yeah, now you just got to get something going. 2 plays that really had no traction whatsoever. You got to hope this last pass can change that rhetoric, but it's going to have to be a really good one, and with how they've been passing so far, hopefully they can adjust.
Let's see what they've got dialed up for 3rd and 10 here as Dynasty's going to step back. He's got a bunch formation to the right. He's going to fire downfield and overthrown there. It was well covered on the back end by the safeties.
Just leading a little too far right there is Bryant Dynasty. There was 2 defenders chasing him in place, and you know they were a decent bit behind him if the throw was just a little bit more on target, Mike, and that one could have been a really huge play.
So a game of defenses so far early on here in Atlanta. And I'll tell you what, DJ, I mean, we were not expecting this kind of defensive show out from the beginning as that return's going to be taken up to the 34. That is Nolan Pierce on the return.
And now Carolina going to come out the gate and really going to just see what they do with their offense to change up what they're doing. Hopefully, you can give Dunhill some more time in the pocket.
Yeah, and I think they need to lean a little bit more into the run again, like we saw. Out of these wider spread formations, I think that would really work well for him. Dunhill under center is going to drop back. He's going to fire out to the flat. Good play, but a little bit off thrown. Number 25, Riley Quintero, goes out of bounds for a loss, and you got to think that's just a bad ball, DJ.
Yeah, made him come back to it and probably thought Quintero had a little bit more room on the sideline. He tries to get back to running forward and just makes a wrong spin and takes a step out of bounds. But, yeah, like you said, just let him a little bit too far back.
Bunch formation to the right. He's going to hand off to the right side. Try and get it to Quintero to maybe shake some of that uneasy feeling after that loss. And we're going to get another 2-yard loss for Carolina here. And this is not where you want to be, DJ.
Yeah, not at all. And Barron went the 7th pick in this last SFLM draft. He busted through the line, made the first hit on the runner, and was cleaned up shortly after. Another nice play for them.
3rd and 14. Dunhill's going to drop. They're going to send a blitz up the middle. Fire downfield, and what a great coverage play by Zach Lay there.
Yeah, and another big play, like you said, and he had a big play earlier in the game, and he helped make that cleanup tackle for loss on the previous play. So really showing up so far in the game is Atlanta's defense, and now it's a stalemate, and we're already halfway through the quarter. It seems like there's so much going on, Mike, but really not much time has passed.
Absolutely, and I got to tell you, we're not, as that's going to be a great punt coverage there by the Skyhawks. That's Atlanta's going to take over from the 30. We were not expecting this kind of a defensive show out early on, but it is always great, and you're always curious every time you come into a matchup, who's going to be those playmakers? Who are going to be the playmakers that step up? So far on the defensive side for Atlanta, it seems like Zach Lay.
Yeah, absolutely. It just seems like he's been all over the field.
1st and 10 here. So we're going to see Dynasty under center. I spread formation here. He's got 2 wide receivers to his right. He's going to roll out to his right, fire out to the flats, and just take a quick little 1-yard gain out to the running back.
Yeah, and just in the 4-3 look, they just shut that one down. Linebackers dropped back in coverage. Corners played shallow zones. That's what we saw there, just completely bottled up. And even if the throw wasn't low and they had to make a diving catch to try and maintain, it still would have been nothing.
2nd and 9 here. Dynasty's going to hand it off to BDG. He's going to get up for about 3 yards, setting up a 3rd and 6. A little bit more manageable of a 3rd down.
And this is a pretty historied matchup between Atlanta and Carolina. Have had 13 total meetings.
Wow.
In the past, since back to season 8 was their first one. We'll go into that a little bit more in depth after this play.
3rd and 6 here. Quads look here. 4 wide receivers out wide. Number 17 is going in motion. That is, I believe, Ryan Roosevelt. Or Siege Falco, excuse me. Dynasty sits in the pocket, fires downfield, and that is going to be caught. How about the Hall of Famer, Boo Chisholm, making a grab there?
Yeah, and there we go. And Bryant Dynasty had so much time in the pocket. A great display of blocking from the offensive line. And, there was so much happening around him, and he just shrugged it off. Stayed strong, made a brilliant throw well down the field to push him past the 50.
Absolutely. I'm going to introduce these defenses here really quick as we get ready. I'll wait until after this play. 1st and 10 here. 3 wide receivers. That's going to be caught. Fox Highwind makes the grab, setting up a 2nd in inches. Let's talk about this Carolina defense, or introduce this Carolina defense here, as it's been all defense here. Defensive ends are LJ Hobbs and May Carter. Defensive tackles, Phil Hall and Christopher Colon. Danny Stinson, Mojo McClain, Shravon Prasad are the linebackers. Tristan Hatley, TD Jack, Davidson Joseph are the corners. They're going to hand it off up the middle, and that's going to be BDG Hollywood picking up a 1st down for the Swarm here. We're going to continue on with the free safeties here. Skippy Curtis, Mike Ryan, and strong safeties, Ibari Amin Eaglin. And yeah, way to just continue to move the ball, DJ. I think that they're kind of picking up a little bit on offense here as we're seeing the Swarm. 1st and 10. I spread formation. 3 wide receivers. 2 backs. He's going to dump it off to the fullback again on that, and that is Hattori Hanzo. And Again, 2nd and 11, a loss of 1. That one, not so fortunate.
Yeah, not at all. And they go back to that one again, and again, they don't gain any yardage. Might have to scrap that one early unless, some coverages start to change for Carolina. But, like you said, Mike, there really seems like they're starting to get ahead of steam now.
2nd and 11. Dynasty's going to drop back. It's going to be intercepted. How about the linebacker coming in? Danny Stinson with the interception. You've never seen a linebacker jump like that.
No, not often. And what an athletic play. Just, oh my goodness. We need to put him in the broad jump in the Olympics for that one. Been playing at an all-star level all season, getting his 4th interception from the linebacker spot this season. And, just Danny Stinson and Trevon Prasad alone have 10 interceptions now.
Wow.
That's crazy.
Wow, somebody get that man's vertical. 1st and 10 here, as it's apparently all defense here in Atlanta in the first quarter. Carolina takes back over. Marcus Dunhill, he's got 2 wide receivers to his right, 1 to his left. He's going to hand it off, and that is going to be Riley Quintero with the gain of 2.
Yeah, and a tough physical run to start it. I like the direction they're trying to take their offense, Just try and maybe switch up the looks a few times on the offense, maybe where you're running the ball.
Dunhill drops back in the pocket. He's going to find a receiver downfield. Number 80 there, Adam Banks on the reception, and a 1st down for the Skyhawks.
Yeah, and going back to the pass and working really well. Both of these quarterbacks have had pretty, we saw the sack on one of the previous drives. But apart from that, Mike, I feel like these quarterbacks are having all day to throw the ball. Sometimes taking too much time, and it results in, plays caused by that.
So 1st and 10 here for the Skyhawks. Dunhill's going to roll out to his left. They've got pressure coming. He's going to fire back to his right side, trying to hit Riley Quintero to make a move on the outside, but Jeff Spicoli is all over it.
Yeah, just bottled that one up, and that's just a matter of sticking with your man. You have an assignment to do, and even if he's just sitting there idle, the ball could come his way. And Jeff Spicoli stood there and made a nice tackle after the catch.
2nd and 13. That is going to be intercepted. How about speechless here? That is Jay Miraculous on the interception. And wow, just when you think you have seen enough defense, this game delivers once again.
Yeah, and a miraculous indeed, Mike. A huge interception. And if that one was caught, there would have been a whole lot more room to run. Marcus Dunhill just needed a little bit more air under that ball, but didn't find any at all. And Jay Miraculous with a huge play for Atlanta, and we're going back the other way.
I got to tell you, I think Jay Miraculous was getting a little impatient with me not introducing that defense, because I was about to, and then he, showed up on screen there. Dynasty's going to hand it off. The BDG Hollywood getting out to the left side, and that's a good gain of 5 on 1st down here for the Swarm.
Yeah, Atlanta, they haven't been running the ball, as well as they'd probably like. BDG has 490 yards, but that's probably not as much as you'd like to see. Oh! What a play there. Huge reception over the middle of the field, and Brian Dynasty throwing it right over the defender, trying to jump the route, and really nothing going at all. All right, now Atlanta. We have Bryant Dynasty under center. Got split backs in the backfield. A really heavy set look for the defense here. To the right. And we see a handoff right up the middle, and it is bottled up by Carolina shortly after the ball's handed off. Nothing going after the previous big run, and that is going to end the first quarter in Atlanta. Huge defensive game from both sides of the ball so far, and goodness me, it's just been so exciting. We've seen super athletic interceptions. We've seen great fumbles on sacks, and yeah, this one's really just maybe not what you expect on the stat sheet when you look at this one from afar. And now Bryant Dynasty going to be under center. You got a single back in the backfield, 4 receivers out to the sides. Take a 5-step drop. He's going to fire it over the middle. Oh, and it's tipped off. Oh, my goodness. And almost caught for a touchdown, but just tipped right off of the hands of the receiver. And that was Ryan Roosevelt, who almost made a huge play for Atlanta.
Third and 13 here. So we get ready to see. Sorry about the interruption there. As Dynasty gets ready to set up for this 3rd and long, DJ, and you got to imagine they've got to have something dialed in here for this kind of long yardage situation.
Yeah.
Dynasty's going to fire down the middle, and that's going to be caught by Fox Highwind. How about that?
Yeah, and you see that one get completed, but the previous one just as close and probably should have been caught for the touchdown. But, now we see an even closer completion there and a riskier pass, I'd argue. But Bryant Dynasty threw it just high enough for the linebacker and perfectly to the spot where Fox Highwind could jump and make a nice catch.
So our first and goal here, DJ.
Yeah.
As the Swarm get ready, Dynasty's going to hand it off to BDG Hollywood. Break a tackle, but can't shake the second one. Man, and how about Ibaria Men Eaglin coming in and making the hit there?
Yeah, huge play from him. And now, Atlanta going to have to call the right plays, and your playbook's open. You can really do anything you want coming into this 2nd and 5, really.
Absolutely. 2nd and goal. They're going to hand it off the middle again, and Mojo McClain says, no, thank you, and shuts it down. We're going to see a 3rd and goal here, DJ.
Yeah, we are, and Carolina stop them in the red zone. It would be huge if they could. Another big defensive highlight on the game, you could say.
The back end of the defense is pretty shallow. They're going to hand it off to the left side, BDG Hollywood, and they saw that coming, DJ. You got to think they saw that coming. Nobody was in the back. They had everybody on the outsides. They knew there was an outside run coming.
Yeah, absolutely, and Tristan Hatley had a big part in making that tackle. And he's, had a pretty quiet, huge game so far. Already has 2 tackles for loss and has the interception. And, he's really coming to play right now. And, being able to stop them after a pretty good drive and good field position for them to vote, being able to stop them, that's going to be a good look.
And just like that, we've got our first points on the board here in the 2nd quarter as the 1st quarter goes scoreless by both teams. A lot of defense. We've seen a lot of defense so far in this game, and I got to tell you, both defenses are playing really well, but I think both offenses kind of need to regroup, DJ. What do you think?
I completely agree. Just both offenses, apart from that drive from Atlanta, not doing what they are best, you could say. Carolina hasn't been successful running the ball as they'd like, and here's an injury.
Yeah, you hate to see it. Outside linebacker number 51, Barrett Green, going down for the Swarm, and surely a rotational player coming in. So, but it never helps when you got players going down.
Yep, definitely not.
So we're going to see Marcus Dunhill come out here. 1st and 10, and Carolina, their offensive coordinator, probably looking at some different plays here. As the Skyhawks go under center here. We've got 2 wide receivers to Dunhill's left and 1 to his right. They're going to hand it off to the left side, and that's going to be number 25 there, Quintero. And that's going to be a gain of nothing.
Yeah, and Anthony Wayo had a big part in helping bring that run down to a standstill. And 15 total yards for Carolina. Oh, my gosh.
Wow. 2nd and 10 here. Atlanta's going to bring some extra bodies up to the line here. Looks like they're playing Wayo in that slot there. Dunhill's going to sit in the pocket. He's got a little bit of time. He takes a run up the middle. Smart move. Nothing was available. He takes the run up the middle and sets up a 3rd and manageable. 3rd and 5 here.
Yeah, and Mike, that was another one of those instances we talked about earlier where the QB had so much time and they still weren't able to find an open target. To the credit of the defensive backcourt for being able to hold the receivers in check that long.
Dunhill's going to fire out to the right side, and he's going to be caught. That is Adam Banks on the reception. He had a little crosser going his way, and that just worked out very well for the Skyhawks.
Yeah, and what a huge catch that was. One-handed over the middle. What a play. Catching it right before it was able to get into the hands of the oncoming safety, and now Adam Banks is the only receiver with a completion so far. Besides that, Riley Quintero has 3 receptions that have accumulated a total of -7 yards.
I'm going to try and get to this Atlanta defense here after this play. 1st and 10, Dunhill under center. He's going to send the halfback out into motion to the right side. He's got 4 receivers now. He's going to fire out. He's going to try and get it to his receiver. He's trying to get it to Chris Curtis and just couldn't let it happen.
Yeah, just bottled that one up. And for Carolina, I feel like if you are going to go with the pass game, you just got to hope Dunhill can continue to find open targets and just try and make the smart throws. There's no need to risk anything when you don't have to.
2nd and 10 here as Dunhill's going to hand it off to the left side. And that's going to break a tackle. Quintero trying to find some room, and nothing happening there. We're going to see a 3rd and 7. Let's talk about these. Let's introduce this defense. There's been enough of it, and nobody's been introduced yet. So Wolf High win. Defensive end, Baron Wint is defensive end. Defensive tackles, Alex Dominguez. Outside linebackers, Jess McCauley and Aquana Shine. Anthony Wyo, Zach Lay, and Jay Miraculous are the corners. Moose Papineau and Grant Hardaway are the free safeties, and Chris Henry is the strong safety. All right, Mr. Jay Miraculous. We'll see if he comes on screen again. Now that I finally got them introduced. Dunhill's going to drop back. He's going to find a little bit of space out to his right side and fire it downfield, but that is covered well, like it has been all game so far.
Yeah, Chris Henry was the one to get a helmet in there and make the hit just as the ball was coming to the hands of the receiver. And, you know, again, we see an incompletion on a target from one of these Carolina receivers. And it just feels like every throw that Marcus Dunhill is making, Mike, is, you know, in single coverage that's really tight, or double coverage even.
That return is going to come back to about the 26. Rooms are going fast for the 2025 SFL convention, kicking off the league's 25th anniversary season, July 10th through 13th. If you want to go, you need to book your stay now. Join SFL Nation at the rooftop pool at our host hotel, the Hyatt Regency. You can reserve your room now at the special group rate at simfl.net. Beautiful Baltimore. Can't wait to see it.
Yeah.
So we see Brian Dynasty again. 1st and 10. Under center, he's going to hand it off to BDG Hollywood to the left. He's going to break a tackle and fight through another one, getting it up to, they're going to say, about a gain of 6. 2nd and 4 here.
And there we go. I mean, Atlanta, they've ran the ball, you know, you would say pretty well. The stat sheet doesn't say pretty well. They certainly have been better than Carolina, which is who you usually see the run ball. It's usually who you see run the ball down everyone's throat, and now they're doing a much better job of it.
About a gain of, they're going to actually call it about a gain of 1 here, setting up a 3rd and 3. We'll see what they have dialed up here. This 3rd and 3, you got to think that, well, no, I was going to say you're going to come out in a heavier formation, but we've got 4 wide receivers out wide right now as Dynasty's going to fire to his right side, and how about how well that was tracked? That route was jumped. That is going to the house. That is number 42 for Carolina, and that is about as good as good of a defensive back play as you could have for Davidson Joseph.
And make that the 3rd for Bryant Dynasty. Matches the number on his jersey and the points on the board for the Swarm. And finally, if Carolina's offense isn't going to put points on the board for him, who else but the defense going to make a huge play when it matters to completely flip the game on its head?
Unbelievable. Unbelievable, DJ. I don't think it gets prettier than that as a defensive back play.
No. Read it to perfection.
Read it to jump the route. I mean, that was about as pretty as they get whenever it comes to interceptions. So now we see a touchdown. This is a little rare. It's the 2nd quarter right now, and we've only seen nearly 15 minutes of football so far, DJ, but it has been all defensive, and I think that just puts a stamp on what kind of game we're going to see here. I'll be really interested to see what kind of halftime adjustments we see from both of these teams.
Yeah, certainly, and it's just going to be, what can you do that the other side's defense isn't going to be able to stop?
As we'll see, Brian Dynasty trying to shake off the interception, right? He's been in this game for a long, long time. He's been on this team for a very long time, and, you know, he's a veteran, right? You got to be able to shake off the interceptions. Let's see what they do here. 1st and 10 here. He's got 2 wide receivers to his right. He goes back to the air, trying to get it out to his receiver. Fox Highwind just couldn't hang on to it.
Yeah, and it was not a bad throw. Got enough air under it, but just it maybe seemed to bounce off a defender before it got all the way to him or hit him on the back shoulder.
The 2nd and 10. Let's see if they go back to the air, if they kind of balance things out with the run. 2 wide receivers to Dynasty's left, 1 to his right. They are going to go with the run, hand it off to BDG Hollywood, who spins, nearly breaks it, and if it weren't for number 92 on the defense for Carolina, he would still be running. That was Phil Hall in the tackle.
We got a $7 super chat from Shervon Prasad. Car. And what a time after that big touchdown.
Fired up over there on the Carolina sideline. As Dynasty's going to drop back, roll out to his left. He's got a little bit of room. He tries to make a spin move, but guess who tackles him? Shervon Prasad, forcing a 4th down here for the defense.
Yeah, chasing him down. He gets off his block, and the spin move, not enough. Chases him down back to the line of scrimmage. Barely gets a yard before he's pulled down.
Unbelievable job. I got to tell you, the outside linebackers, you talked about them briefly after the Danny Stinson interception earlier, right, DJ? But these outside linebackers, the linebacking core for Carolina this season has been unbelievable. Unbelievable. Yeah. They've been so much fun to watch. As that return is going to come out, it's got a little bit of room going out to the Carolina 48. So we'll see also some offense here for Carolina. They got some good starting field position. You
talk about a lineman. Or not a lineman, excuse me. You talk about a linebacker core that has 2 potential all-stars right now, both at the outside linebacker position.
Yeah.
If that doesn't paint the picture for you, I mean, I don't know what else will. And McClain also, who's leading the team in tackles, top 10 in tackles for loss. I mean, they're just outstanding.
Absolutely. Let's see if their offense, however, their counterpart can make something happen. 1st and 10 here. Dunhill's going to hand it off to the left side and blown up at the line of scrimmage. Aquantis shines all over it.
Yeah, the Hall of Famer gets in there and makes a huge play right at the line. And, this really isn't looking like the Carolina run game that you usually see.
It is definitely not. Not so far. Still early in the game. Dunhill's going to drop back. He's a little bit of pressure here. It's going to be taken down. That pocket collapsed very quickly. That was number 98 getting in on the action. Baron Went.
Yeah, Baron Went, Alex Dominguez, just a pair of them pulling down Marcus Dunhill. You just got to try and get the ball out sooner than that if the pocket's collapsing. And right there, the defensive line took full advantage on the lapse.
And this stadium is loud right now in Atlanta, DJ. Dunhill's going to roll out to his left. He's got a bunch to his right. Fire across the middle. That's broken up. And how about the coverage by the veteran, Anthony Wyo?
Yeah, the veteran is right. And, he's also been playing at an all-star level this season. Had a really, really good season. Has 2 touchdowns going back the other way. And great in coverage all around. Has 4 picks. And we saw a really nice hit as the ball was getting there. Now Carolina, again, their offense unable to do anything. And, with how the game's been going so far, statistically, they have a better shot of scoring when Atlanta has the ball.
The good punt coverage that Atlanta's going to take over from their own 20. And I got to tell you, this has been back and forth and back and forth. I'd be interested to see how many possessions we've had so far in this game, because it's got to be up there. We've seen quite a bit of action on the defensive side, and let's see if Atlanta can get something going here on the offensive side. Brian Dynasty under center. He's got 2 wide receivers, 1 out to each side of him. They're going to split the tight end. Why not Arolette? He's going to go out in motion on the left side to accompany the other wide receiver. Dynasty's going to stop back and fire, and that's going to be caught and just draws up a beautiful post there. It looked like a skinny post there for Fox Highwind.
Yeah, and I could be mistaken, Mike, but to answer your question, I believe this is our 13th drive already. Yeah, I could be wrong. I usually am. But, coming into the 13th drive as the second quarter's about to close, I mean, we've seen enough defensive action for a full 2 games of highlights, but it's all been in the first half.
You're not wrong. 1st and 10 here. We got two tight ends to the right, 1 wide receiver, and Dynasty's going to fire it out to the right side, trying to get it back to the hot hand, but just a little out of the way there for Fox Highwind.
Yeah, just a little bit too out far in front, and now you're just closing in on the 2-minute warning. If you're Atlanta, I feel like you got to try and capitalize and take a few big shots here.
Put some pep in your step here. Talking to the Swarm. 2nd and 10. Bryant Dynasty's going to send a wide receiver in motion. That's actually not a wide receiver. I believe that's the fullback, Hattori Hanzo, out wide. And Dynasty's going to fire across the middle, and that's going to be caught somehow by Fox Highwind. I don't know how that was caught. And I just got to say, it's going to be our nice hands catch of the game. SFL, listen, that's a nice hands catch brought to you by Retroid. Put a Retroid handheld in your hands and play the only video game with your player in it, SFL 4K23, as we reach the 2-minute warning here. It is a close one here in Atlanta. And it's going to be, buckle your seatbelts up, because I feel like this one's going to come down to the wire, DJ. What do you think?
Yes, certainly. And it's just going to be a slugfest if this first half holds true into the second.
We're going to see Dynasty under center here. He's got one wide receiver out to the right. Pressure coming, and he gets it to his wide receiver, and that is number 87, Ryan Roosevelt, there on the catch. And how about the first down for the Swarm?
Yeah, and after 5 targets, Roosevelt finally able to hold on to him, his first catch after his 6th target. And, there's been a lot of faith put in his hands this game, and finally able to haul one in, and not to his own fault. Brian Dynasty, you can see, with 3 interceptions.
Yeah, it's been rough sledding. This Carolina defense has been really good. Dynasty's going to fire across the middle and, again, goes back to Roosevelt. So you think they're trying to get some tempo here. We'll see what they continue to do.
Yeah, and, they could probably be safe going into the half, but I imagine everyone watching this, everyone in the stands right now wants them to try and get points on the board, but it looks like they're going a little bit more conservative.
We'll see how everything goes after this play. 2nd and 5, heavier set. They're going to throw at him, and that's going to be intercepted.
Oh
Davidson Joseph again with the 2nd interception, and that is unbelievable coverage. He knew exactly where that was going and just jumped that one.
Yeah, he's just on a roll right now, getting his 2nd interception, and very similar to the previous. Rather than running the route for the receiver and jumping it from the cut, he jumps it from the top, gets in front of the receiver, jumps and makes a really athletic play, getting his 2nd on the day. And already past the 50-yard line is Atlanta. And if you want to see anybody put their foot on the gas, you'd like for it to be Carolina, excuse me. You'd like to see it for it to be them and hopefully get their offense going.
1st and 10, Dunhill going to fire out. That's going to be covered. He was trying to get it to number 80, and that was really, really close. Adam Banks with the drop there.
Yeah, and I think if you go in and tell somebody that isn't watching this game that Brian Dynasty had 4 interceptions in the first half and Carolina only had 7 points, and none of them being from their offense, I don't think anyone would believe you. But here we are.
But here we are. It's exactly right. 2nd and 10 here. Empty set here for Dunhill. You think they're trying to get aggressive here. Dunhill's going to drop back. Good protection. And he gets it to Adam Banks, who's going to make that grab. He was trying to get to him on the last play, but did not. And we're going to see our first timeout here.
Yeah, and that one was just thrown right into the breadbasket, right in between defenders, right into the hands of the receiver. Almost Adam Banks didn't even have to move his hands, it seemed. And Adam Banks right now, still the only receiver alongside with Riley Quintero who has caught a pass from Dunhill tonight.
The 1st and 10 here, getting closer to the red zone. Dunhill's going to drop back. He's got a couple wide receivers out wide and throws it, and that's going to be caught. Again, Adam Banks making a play and picking up another first down for the Skyhawks.
Yeah, and it's a battle of hot hands right now for Carolina and Atlanta as far as their passing game goes. Adam Banks and Fox Highwind both with 4 receptions leading their team. And right now, Adam Banks on a roll for Carolina. Let's see if they can keep it going into the end zone.
So 1st and 10, Dunhill's going to drop back, fire across the middle. He's trying to get it to Chris Curtis, but that is broken up. Jay Miraculous making another appearance on the back end of the defense.
Yeah, and that's more of the plays we've been seeing from Atlanta's defense in these tight coverage spots. They've just been making the right hits as soon as they need to pop the ball out. And now with that play, they're looking a little bit more like themselves.
2nd and 10 here. 2 wide receivers out to Dunhill's left, 1 to his right. He's going to drop back. He's going to fire across to the left side, and that is nearly caught. Broken up. He's trying to go back again to Chris Curtis, but it seems like that side's been locked down, DJ.
Yeah, lockdown indeed. The two completions that were to that right side. The left side, like you said, nothing going.
Jay Miraculous has been, shall I say, miraculous today. So we get ready for 3rd and 10 here. Dunhill, he's got a trips formation to his left. Atlanta is splitting the defensive line and sending pressure up the middle. Dunhill's got to get it out quick and fires to the left side, and that is caught in the end zone. Touchdown, Carolina. Nolan Pierce with the touchdown.
What a throw there from Dunhill, and what a time to get a reception to another receiver. And that is the type of throw we talk about when we say get some air under it. Lobbed perfectly, a high touch pass right over the defender to where only Pierce can get a hand on it. And a huge play from Carolina. Finally, an offense getting some points on the board. And who else but your first overall pick in this latest SFLM draft to make it?
What an unbelievable throw and catch there by Carolina. And how about the changing of the tide? I mean, it wasn't long ago, DJ. We were looking at the stats that came up on the screen showing that Carolina had only had 15 yards of total offense, right? And going from that to now driving down the field to make a last-second touchdown offensive drive, the only offensive drive we've seen all night by either team, and putting up points, making it a 14-3 game. I mean, that's pretty impressive, DJ.
Yeah, absolutely. Really doing a good job of adjusting and getting better as the game goes along.
Now, it's going to be interesting to see what Atlanta does here. Now, does the lead change things? Would you be going aggressive, or are you still conservative right now and trusting the way your defense is played for the rest of this game?
You know, I'd like to think you trust your defense, but yeah, Carolina has finally scored. So I feel like if there's any time where you don't trust your defense, it's after a score.
Absolutely, and it seems like they're going to be content going into the half. Now, the interesting thing, we see Carolina got the ball first, so Atlanta will get the ball back after the half. Do you think that plays a little bit into the decision of taking this into the half?
Oh, for sure. I imagine it'll play a part in it, for sure.
Dynasty tries to get it out to Fox Highwind, but they are going to be facing a 3rd and 11 here, and if I'm the coach, I'm running the ball here and taking it into the half. I'm not putting the ball back into any Carolina player's hands again. We're going to see a bunch set to the left for Bryant Dynasty here on a 3rd and 11. He's got one back in the backfield. Lone receiver out to the right side, and he's going to fire downfield, and that is going to be intercepted. How about Danny Stinson again?
Goodness.
The linebacker making another move, getting an interception right before the half.
Goodness gracious, and Stinson making it, his 5th on the season? That's his 2nd tonight, if I'm not mistaken.
Unbelievable.
And they're already in field goal range. They can just get another 3 points right here with 4 seconds, and I imagine that's what they're going to do.
Yeah, this is unbelievable. Danny Stinson really, really helping Carolina out here, stretching this to a 2-touchdown lead if they make this field goal here. And the kick is going to be up, and Malone Brown puts it through. How about that?
Yeah, and huge play by the defense again. And, you know, we talked about how the defense is having such a big part in it. I mean, yes, the kicker made it, but the defense, that's a 3-point interception. I mean, that's really all there is to it. And with 4 seconds, that's all you could ask for, really.
Absolutely. So you got 1 second on the clock. Let's see if Atlanta special teams can make something happen. And they are going to bring it out of the end zone. It's going to be some good blocking. And Ceach Falco is going to get it out, but not be able to take it the distance as we are going to go into halftime. DJ, break it down for me, brother.
I mean, what else is there to say other than defensive domination? Really, I mean, 5 interceptions from Bryant Dynasty in this game already. He has 14 on the season coming into the week. That's already over a third of his total interceptions on the season in one half of football. One of them being for a pick six, one of them being a 3-point interception that we saw right at the, before the break of the half. I mean, if you're Atlanta, either one, you need your defense to maybe get a touchdown because your offense certainly isn't right now, or you're just going to need to reevaluate things come half and try and come out of the gate in offense have a different look.
So, who is your halftime player of the game so far?
David Joseph has to get it, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
the touchdown, has 2 interceptions, a PD. He's been great.
Yeah, absolutely. Davidson Joseph has really been on something. If you guys are just tuning in, welcome in to the SFL on VFN. I'm Mike O'Neill alongside my partner DJ Kilgannon here. You've missed a defensive battle if you haven't been watching the first half, and we're going to see if we can't get some offenses going as Atlanta is going to get set to take the kick return. They're going to get the ball back here. Let's see what they can make happen.
Yeah, with how crazy this one has been, I wouldn't be surprised if we see a kick return or punt return in this. I mean,
you took the words out of my mouth. I really, at this point, expectations, right? You're throwing them out.
Yep.
Out the window.
Like a bug smacking against the windshield, you could say.
Exactly. 1st and 10 here. A pro set look here for Atlanta. Dynasty's got 2 wide receivers, 1 to each side on the outsides and 2 backs in the backfield. It's going to be fire across the middle, and it's going to be nearly intercepted by 3 different Skyhawks. And gotta think Dynasty got a little lucky on that one.
Yeah, he needs to go buy a lottery ticket after that. I think that was LJ Hobbs who almost made the play of his life to pick that one off at his defensive end spot. And, you know, he's a defensive end. He's not going to catch.
He might have
that more
retired.
often than not.
He might have
Yeah.
retired after this game.
If he would have, I could see him getting a Hall of Fame spot just for that play.
Dynasty's going to drop back. He's got some pressure from the left side. That's going to be caught. Hattori Hanzo, the fullback, downfield, making some magic happen in the passing game for the Swarm.
Yeah, and that's the 3rd reception from the fullback, 2nd in the team behind Fox when in receptions, but that time was the first one that has gone for a positive yard gain, and it was a huge one downfield.
Unbelievable. Not every day you see your fullback running routes like that, but I got to imagine if you've got the talent, you got to use it sometimes a little bit creatively. So we're going to see Dynasty under center. He's going to send Fox Highwind in motion from the right to the left. He's got a lone back in the backfield. That is BDG Hollywood. He's going to fire it quick across the middle, and that's going to be broken up. He's trying to get it to Why Not Arrowlet, which has been surprisingly quiet in this game.
I don't know what it is, but I feel like every time we see a throw from Bryant Dynasty, there is at least a defender or 2 on the receiver's hip.
Yeah.
It's just such risky throws right now.
Yeah, and credit to the defensive back room, right? And the coaches over in Carolina for kind of doing some studying, because it seems like they've got this coverage locked down. Yeah. Dynasty is going to drop back. He's going to fire downfield, and he had the look. He had the look to Hanzo, but couldn't connect on it. Hanzo had the defender beat.
Yeah, but who else is going to make that play, Mike, besides Davidson Joseph? Making the huge play on what could have easily been a huge completion, but was able to get a hand in there.
Davidson Joseph just broke up a near touchdown pass if Hanzo holds on to that one. 3rd and 10 here. Bryant Dynasty's got to make something happen. He's got a bunch out to his right. He's going to drop back in the pocket, roll out to his right. He's going to take it and run. He's going to try and slide just barely short of the first down and 4th and 2 situation. You got to imagine Atlanta sideline's not too happy about that one.
Yeah, and I like the intuitiveness to scramble, avoid pressure, but you can't do that. It's 3rd down. You need more yardage than that. And now they're giving the ball back into the hands of Carolina. And last we saw of their offense, they scored for the first time in the game. They had their best drive that they've had to that point, and they had just got a completed field goal and another defensive stop for them. Momentum is fully in the favor of the Skyhawks, and I think this drive right here, Mike, could be a breakaway drive if it goes the way Carolina wants it to.
Yeah, I think you're calling it, partner. I think it really a lot rides on what Carolina does on this drive here. 1st and 10 is we're going to see Dunhill under center with a bunch to his left. He's got 3 wide receivers to his left. They're going to hand out to the left side. That's going to be Quintero taking it up for a gain of 4 yards. So not a bad way to start 1st down on this drive.
And the longest run so far for Carolina has been a 5-yard run from Marcus Dunhill.
Wow.
Carolina not running the ball like they usually do. However, only 1 interception in the pass game compared to 5 on the other side, and a touchdown to go along with it. Hasn't been too terrible. You just want to see more production.
Dunhill going to fire out to the left side, and they're going to say that's short. Got it out to Nolan Pierce, and they're going to say he was he was not over the line to gain, which is a little interesting. I thought it was pretty close, but I guess it could go either way. I guess that's why I'm not a line judge.
Yeah, and it's really two different sides of the same coin right now for these two defenses. I'll go into that a little bit more after the play.
3rd and inches. Dunhill's going to hand it off to the left side, and that's going to be a first down picked up. Riley Quintero gets the first down for the Skyhawks.
And the way you look at it right now, it's got to look like Atlanta, their offense is just making errors, throwing in coverage they shouldn't, ill-advised throws, and Marcus Dunhill, not throwing all terrible balls with only 1 interception and 50% completion, but it's more so Atlanta's defense just making huge plays and playing a really, really strong game.
They're going to hand off 1st and 10 to the right side. This time Harish Prasad picking up a gain of 5, matching their longest run of the game so far. We'll see what they have dialed up here on 2nd and 5. You got to think they're maybe trying to balance things out now. They're comfortable with a 14-point lead and now just trying to play safe because of all the interceptions in the game we've seen. A jack set here as Dunhill's going to hand it off to the right side. Quintero's going to try and break a tackle, and it's going to be blown up. And guess who? Aquantis Shine again for a tackle for loss.
And if you told me Quintero would have as little yards as he does coming halfway into the 3rd, he only has 9 yards.
Wow.
19 yards for both him and Harish Prasad put together. I wouldn't have believed you, but right now Atlanta is just doing phenomenal at stopping the run. Their defense is looking really stout.
3rd and 9. Dunhill's got to make something happen. He takes it with his legs, and he's barely, just like we saw in Atlanta, he's 2 yards short.
Yeah, it's a mirror image there, Mike. Like you said, it's exactly bar for bar, word for word, what just happened on the other side of the field. And now we're giving it back to Atlanta. Now, if you're Bryant Dynasty, I can't imagine the talk you had at halftime. And you can't be angry at the guy. You're like, look, you're our guy. You just need to play better. He can play better. Everyone here knows he can. Atlanta knows he can play better than he's playing. You just got to do it. Got to make the right reads. Got to make the right throws and stop throwing into double and triple coverage. Let some zones settle. Wait for the defenses to settle and pick apart their weaknesses.
I think you're exactly right, DJ. You got to start digging into that second part of your playbook now, the lower end stuff that you don't use too often. Dynasty's going to drop back on 1st and 10, and that is going to be caught. How about that for a grab? Fox high wind across the middle down the seam.
Yeah, and that's the type of play I'm talking about. Reading what the defense is going to go with. You have 2 over-the-top routes. It's levels concept. That's all it is. You have one shorter in route, and then you have the one over the top of the post. Wait for the linebacker to adjust, and as soon as he does, fire to the one he doesn't go to. That's what we need to see from Bryant Dynasty going forward, and that was one of few great throws he's had tonight.
We see Carolina now on 1st and 10 dropping those outside linebackers, it looks like, down to the line. They are going to drop back and play zone, so Dynasty's got to be smart, and he throws an interception. That is going to be number 28, taking it all the way back to the house. Skippy Curtis, the free safety, plays down, makes the interception. Unbelievable job.
Is Skippy Curtis going to kick Bryant Dynasty while he's down? Call it 6. Why don't you, Carolina? 6 turnovers for your defense, and we're not even halfway through the 3rd. And that's another touchdown for your defense. My goodness, Mike, what is going on?
I'll tell you what's going on. I think that Carolina's defense and their defensive coordinator definitely did their homework on Atlanta. They saw what Atlanta likes to do. They watched Bryant Dynasty been throwing those hitches, right, all season long, and those quick, safe passes, and Carolina's defense has locked into it. You saw exactly what happened. They brought the free safety down, right, played on the line, and then dropped Skippy Curtis back into coverage to kind of to cover those hitches. And that was, that is textbook. You cannot get any better than that. Hats off to the Carolina coaching staff, because their defense today, you talked about it, DJ, they haven't allowed more than 14 points in all but one of their wins. And this is unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you look at we talked about how this is such a historic, game or a series between these two. They've played all the way back to season 8. They've met 13 times. Atlanta has dominated the series. They've won 10, only lost 3 in that total series. And the lowest scoring game has been 16-3. Atlanta won back in season 10. They had 16. Carolina had 3. They were the away team in that one. And now it seems like that rhetoric has just completely flipped. And if Carolina's defense can stay what it's doing, they can rack up another win in that series.
The 2nd and 8, this time going to dump it off to Hanzo. Dynasty gets it out there. I like that play. We haven't seen much of those little flat passes, those swing passes, and I think that those work really well for Atlanta. So interested to see what they do. Now, there's still plenty of time. You still got, just under 15 minutes left in the game. Yeah. And we know this offense can be explosive. Dynasty going to drop back. It's got a clean pocket. He's going to fire deep downfield and broken up. Trying to get it to Why Not Arrowlet, who's been quiet and stays quiet at this point.
Yeah, and it again going back to the double coverage. And, I don't hate trying to make a big play. You know what I mean? But there's just people in the area. It's, again, just an ill-advised throw into the heart of that Skyhawk defense. And just, again, you're going to have to result in a punt.
Absolutely. You guys are watching Simulation Football League action here on the Virtual Football Network. This week on VFN, we'll feature SFL today, Monday, the SFLM playoffs on Wednesday, and UFL on Thursday. It's another week of nonstop action right here on the Virtual Football Network. And just for you guys, all of our viewers here joining us, we appreciate you guys tuning in. But a little game update here. Oklahoma City, 14. Indianapolis, 3 right now in the second quarter with 3 minutes left to go. So we're going to see Dunhill here on 1st and 10. Under center, he's got a bunch out to the right. He's going to hand it off, and that's going to be Quintero breaking a tackle, trying to get out there. Picks up a good gain of 4 and keeps things moving. That's been about, the quota, if you would.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I've got an interesting stat for you, Mike, talking about how, it's going to, how little Carolina's offense has had to do. And we saw the touchdown from them, but their defense is just doing so much that they really don't have to do a whole lot. Atlanta has the same amount of punts and turnovers as Marcus Dunhill has completions.
Holy cow.
They have 6
That's
interceptions
a stat for you.
And a handful of punts. You know what I mean? And
that
is more completions than the Carolina.
That's unheard of.
Yeah.
The 3rd and 1 here, Dunhill trying to make something happen. He's going to hand it off to Quintero, who's going to get it up, and that's going to be a 1st and 10 there for Riley Quintero and the Skyhawks. And I want to go back and mention, because I saw it in our stat channel, DJ, that was actually the pick 6 by Skippy Curtis was Skippy's first career touchdown. So congratulations to Skippy Curtis.
Oh, wow, yeah. That's huge, and we'd love to see that. That's amazing, and what a time to do it in one of the biggest defensive games we've seen all season, and possibly in the historic franchise that is Carolina.
Absolutely, as that tackle is going to be made by number 56, Jeff Spicoli, for Atlanta's defense. And 2nd and 10 here for Carolina. They're going to hand it off up the middle, and it's going to be smacked. Riley Quintero just getting blasted by Moose Papineau there.
Yeah, and the story coming into this one, Mike, was if Atlanta was able to pull out a win, that they could go on a run, get 2 more wins after. They have Nashville and OKC coming up. If they were able to pull off a win, there was a chance that they were going to be able to creep into the lower playoff picture. But Carolina doing what they do best, proving why they're a top team, or a top 10 team, I should say, and proving why they're the kings of the East right now.
Oh, don't talk too fast. 41, Zach Blay, he's been quiet for the last couple of quarters, but we talked about him a lot in the first quarter.
Yeah.
Getting an interception there and turning this around for Atlanta. Let's see. Man, that is unbelievable.
That was a huge catch. What an athletic play. Press coverage earlier on the route, and I mean, that's just a tell of the receiver's back being to the quarterback while the defender's able to watch the eyes of the quarterback. He sees that ball come out, jumps the route, and makes an amazing interception one-handed, one of the best catches we've seen all night, and it was on the defensive side of the ball. I mean, how else would we expect it, right? But Atlanta.
So not so fast.
No.
Not so fast as Atlanta's making something happen here. 1st and 10. See what Dynasty can get going. He's going to try and fire it out to his left side, and that's going to be broken. It's just a little overthrown, actually, trying to get it to Fox Highwind.
Yeah. And just Carolina's defense right now, so good in all areas of the field, and I imagine that's only going to continue. And as the game comes to a close, as there's less and less time on the clock, Bryant Dynasty and this offense are going to have to make more risky throws to try and keep up, which is what has been his fault all game.
Dynasty got a flush out of the pocket, fired downfield, and just like we've seen all night long, 2 defenders on 1 receiver. Carolina has completely eliminated Atlanta's vertical threat tonight.
Yeah, completely. And it's been the tell, like you said. They've been all over it. The defensive backs for Carolina are playing at an elite level, shutting everything down. A no-fly zone for the Skyhawks.
We're going to see Brian Dynasty drop back here. He's going to break a tackle. He's got time. He's going to roll out to his left and see if he can fire downfield, and that's going to be caught. How about the grab by Boo Chisholm, the Hall of Famer, igniting the spark that this Atlanta Swarm team desperately needs.
There we go. Yeah, talk about an exciting play. And Bryant Dynasty got smacked by one of the defensive linemen, but shrugged it off and finally found Boo Chisholm downfield. And that's finally an instance where we see the routes develop, where we see the zones weaken. I mean, it took a broken sack and a rollout 20 yards out of the pocket, but it finally happened.
We finally saw it, DJ.
Yeah.
All right, 1st and 10 here. We're going to see maybe a newborn Atlanta offense come to life, and maybe not so much. Sravon Broussard shuts that down. It's going to be 2nd and 10 for Atlanta.
Yeah, the Swarm going to have to climb out of their hive and try and find some new light, and now's going to be the good time to do it. I mean, you've got to try and get some points on the board. You're inside the 30 after the big play. Take advantage of it, Atlanta.
And I don't hate that call, the previous call running up the middle here after a big pass. Dynasty's going to get it out of the pocket. That's going to be intercepted. What a play there by the defensive back, number 44, getting that interception, and that's Mike Ryan, the free safety.
Yeah, Mike Ryan, a huge pick there, and yeah, they're going to shut down that opportunity for Atlanta to score, and I'd argue that's one of the first nails in the coffin right now for these Atlanta Swarm. And
yeah,
if you're Carolina, just try and run out some clock, I guess.
Yeah, you gotta think, DJ. A play like that after the big play, right? You get the big play to Boo Chisholm downfield, and then to throw an interception, right? To seal the potentially touchdown scoring drive. To take that away, that's got to be a little deflating.
Yeah, certainly. And yeah, it's like they finally had a chance to make a big play and take advantage of a really nice play that they've had. I haven't been able to say that too often all night, but and Carolina just shuts it down as soon as there's a chance to even talk about it.
The 2nd and 9 here. They're going to toss it out to the right side. That's Quintero. It's going to be a good gain there, setting up a 3rd and 3 for the Skyhawks.
And Carolina, if you can just keep pushing forward, I mean, the third quarter is going to come to an end. You got 10 minutes left to play. Try and own the time of possession. That's what you want to look for coming into this quarter.
And that is going to be the end of the 3rd quarter here in Atlanta. Appreciate you guys tuning in. I'm Mike O'Neill, DJ Kilgannon beside me. We've got a little bit of a defensive battle tonight, and unfortunately, we've seen Carolina pull away a little bit. We'll see what Atlanta can do. They definitely need a stop here. Dunhill under center. He's got 1 receiver to his left. He's going to drop back into the pocket, fire downfield, and that is going to be broken up. Good coverage on the back end by Moose Papineau.
Yeah, getting the play, and now, if Carolina's going to punt it away, I imagine they will. Going to put it back into the hands of Atlanta. Now, if you're Atlanta, you need 3 touchdowns. They can easily do that in a quarter. It's just going to be a matter of doing it, and I think this drive is really going to be all or nothing.
We want the SFL to reach more people. Do you? The best way to do it is to smash that like button, leave a comment on the video, subscribe to the channel. You can help us reach all the people who need more football in their lives. Thanks for your support of the Virtual Football Network. So make sure to smash that like button, those of you guys tuning into this one with us. So we're going to see Atlanta come back out here. 1st and 10. Brian Dynasty's got 2 wide receivers to his left and 1 to his right. 2 backs in the backfield. It's going to send Fox Highwind in motion from the left to the right. Dynasty's going to drop back, roll out a little bit to his left, fire downfield, and broken up again. It's been the story of the evening. The defensive backs for Carolina, the safeties have been spectacular.
Yeah, they absolutely have. And you have 5 defenders for Carolina, all with an interception.
Unbelievable.
You've got to be happy with that performance. I mean, more than happy, I imagine.
Unbelievable. Dynasty going to drop back, fire quick across the middle, which we have not seen. We do have an injured player, though. Wait to see who this is, and that's Mike Ryan. That's a very, very unfortunate loss for this Carolina team. We saw him with the interception, and that could be a game changer for the back end of the secondary, DJ.
Yeah, definitely could. Could be the lapse that Atlanta needs, and hopefully he's able to bounce back and come back into the game so he can play a little bit more tonight and finish the game. Hopefully he's all right, but Atlanta maybe try and take advantage of the weakened secondary now.
The 3rd and 3. Dynasty under center. They've got to pick up a 1st down here. Dynasty's going to drop back. He's got a clean pocket so far. He's going to pump fake, and it's going to be taken down. Number 93 in on the tackle. It's Christopher Colon with the sack.
Yeah, and his first on the night, 2nd for the team. There hasn't been one since way back in the early first half, and you know that's just got to be deflating for Atlanta. And you know they're still gonna punt. I mean, maybe you feel comfortable enough in your defense to try and get the ball back and not risk it in such, you know, so deep in your own field position.
Week 12 of the SFL Season 24 continues tomorrow with the Monday night spectacular doubleheader. We'll start in Mexico City with the Aztecs and the Legion, followed by Arizona and Minnesota in the nightcap. The action starts with Cam and Mike on SFL this week, recapping today's games at 7:15 p.m. Eastern, all right here on the Virtual Football Network. So we're going to see Carolina, Marcus Dunhill, again, trying to just run the clock out, just run the ball, contain the clock game, and just keep things running as they're going to hand it off to Quintero to the right side. It's going to be a gain of 2.
Yeah, and, you know, if you're Carolina, those runs are fine. You know, that's really just about chipping away a clock. And, you know, if you can stay ahead of the chains for a little bit, I mean, it's just gonna turn the clock away really quickly.
So we're going to hand off again. This time it's going to be Harish Prasad up the middle, setting up a 3rd and 2. Little game update for you guys. Over in Indianapolis, Oklahoma City's up 17-10 at the half. We talked about Atlanta. They've got to play Oklahoma City, I believe, next week. And we talked about them being winless, and they right now they're up. So good run over there. So we see a 3rd and 2 here. They're going to hand it off up the middle to Quintero, and a big stop there for Atlanta's defense, making it a 4th and 1. Atlanta's going to get the ball back.
Yeah, they are, and a nice stand there to be able to stop them. And, you know, that drive takes about a minute and some change off the clock. I mean, it's not a too impactful drive, and, I mean, it's no shot to Atlanta's defense because really, Mike, they've been playing some really solid football on that side of the ball. It's just their offense. You got to step up in this moment and make something happen.
Yeah, I was going to say that earlier, and I'm glad that you brought that up because I think it is important to note Atlanta's defense is at no fault for this score right now. Atlanta's defense has actually been incredible with a lot of containing the run game. You talk about Quintero being at where he's at with rushing yards as well as Prasad. You know, you talk about the interceptions that Atlanta's had. Their defense has came to play. The problem lies with their offense. They can't get anything going, and that's it's been tough. They're going to hand it off up the middle. BDG Hollywood's going to get a gain of 4.
And now, I mean, you've got 7.5 minutes to make something happen, and you need 3 touchdowns to tie it. There's certainly still life for Atlanta. They're just going to have to completely play at a different level than they have been.
And now with Mike Ryan being out of the picture, unfortunately, you question, does that change things on the back end? Is they're going to get a good run out to the right side? That's going to be number 26 there, Hubba Kimbrell with the carry.
Yeah, and he came all the way across the formation to make that play, and you know, it's going to be 7 minutes now for Atlanta. They really got to put their foot on the gas pedal now, and like you said, maybe try and take advantage of the weakened secondary, which they really aren't right now.
They might here. It's Dynasty going to drop back, fire downfield, and they do take advantage of that spot there. He gets it to 87. Wait a second. Yep, Mike Ryan's out on the field again.
Yeah,
so,
that was a 44 who made that play. Yeah,
so how about that?
Secondary.
Yeah, we talk about attacking the weak target, and how about he didn't look injured on that tackle, did he?
No, he didn't. Not at all. My goodness, what a hit.
Put his shoulder into it. I mean, that's a tough play right there.
Yeah.
1st and 10. So you're going to see Brian Dynasty. Nonetheless, you made it happen on the last play. You got to think you can do it again.
For sure.
We're going to see a wide receiver go in motion from the right to the left. Dynasty's going to sit back in the pocket. He's got a little bit of pressure. Tries to get it to Why Not Arrowlet. And DJ, I'm going to talk about an underrated storyline throughout this game.
Yeah.
Why Not Arrowlet has not been involved whatsoever, right? And I think that is a big problem. I think that Atlanta, when they're successful and when their offense is moving, is funneling the ball through the tight ends just as much as the wide receiver.
Yeah, and you know, to Bryant Dynasty's credit, he's fired the ball his way 7 times. And, you know, maybe it's his fault throwing it in coverage like we're seeing, but he's only been able to haul on to it once.
Davidson Joseph on the pass break up there, trying to get it out to Ryan Roosevelt. Just can't connect, and that's a big problem. You know, you want to try and have some consistency across the board, and I think that could be one of the areas that, you know, has really shot Atlanta in the foot tonight.
Mm-hmm.
It's 3rd and 10. We're going to see a bunch formation to the right. Dynasty's going to fire across the middle, and how about the linebacker getting a hand on it?
Denson almost had his 3rd, Mike. And
unbelievable.
I've got a fun stat for you. Another fun stat that might make Atlanta hate me just a little bit more.
Let's hear.
You look at Carolina's points. Carolina has more points scored than Bryant Dynasty's QBR this game.
Okay. Well, do we have any more ad reads? It's just rough.
It's just so interesting to look at and find those stats that, you know, sound unheard of, but are just credit to how well this team has been playing. You know?
Yeah, I mean, Carolina's defense has been on another level. And I'll tell you what, they've got one more game left on this season, on the season. Carolina does. That's Sin City, right? We know what Sin City is capable of. But if Carolina can take this defense into that Sin City game, you could be looking at an 8-win team going into the playoffs feeling really good about themselves.
Yeah, for sure. And that's definitely a foreseen future that definitely could happen. They definitely can win that. I think that one's anyone's game going into next week.
Dunhill completing a pass to Chris Curtis there for the 1st down, and man, Atlanta fans are just they're not feeling it right now, DJ.
No. Yeah, you could hear a pen drop out here, and it's just taking the life out of them, really. You know, talking about that next week matchup with Carolina, Sin City has Pittsburgh this week at Sin City. They're going to be at home. That game is going to be a little bit later tonight after this drop, and it'll be a huge game.
And how about the grab on the outside by Adam Banks? Marcus Dunhill's just still letting them rip here, and everything points to you should be running the ball right now, but Marcus Dunhill just paying homage to his former self as a gunslinger.
Yeah, certainly, and getting his 5th reception, and you know, none of these receivers are over 100 yards in this game right now. They've all haven't had too huge of games, but you know, when it matters, they're showing up, at least for Carolina's side, and you know, a lot of tight catches and coverage.
Well, getting back to the run game, we're going to see a face mask here.
Yeah, looks like it.
That's going to be a free 15. Wow, actually 5-yard, excuse me. Yeah, free 5 yards and 1st and 2. Not one you see every day. A 1st and 2. I don't know if you really have this scripted in your offense whenever you're game planning, but we'll see what they decide to do. As Dunhill's under center, he's going to just hand it off up the middle, and how about Quintero with the spin move and getting it up quite a few yards and picking up a 1st down here for this Carolina. Just going to keep things moving. It's business as usual.
Yeah, I mean, it's just gotta be about keeping the time of possession now and just holding the ball. And when you look at the first half, Atlanta had the ball for a total of 11 and a half minutes that first half.
Wow.
Carolina had it for 8.5 minutes. So they completely ran the time of possession in that first half. Right now, it's a little bit more even. Carolina just over 7.25 minutes. And Atlanta has had it for about 6.75 minutes. So a lot more even than it was in the first half, but just not taking advantage of the time they do have the ball.
It's a good run up the middle for sure. Harish Prasad picking it up a good gain, set up a 2nd and 3 situation. And like you said, I mean, the time of possession, right? It is everything right now to these Skyhawks. And this is one of those matchups where we've talked about the rivalry. This blood runs deep between these two teams, and Carolina right now really getting the better of Atlanta. So we're going to see a 2nd and 3. Marcus Dunhill's going to send Chris Curtis in motion from right to left. He's going to hand it off up the middle, and that's going to be broken up at the line of scrimmage. Aquana Shine was all over it.
Yeah, just read it like a book, and it's the Carolinas and Georgia. I mean, this tale goes back almost as old as time, really. I mean, we talked about so much how many games they've played, and Carolina finally notching another one in that win column for them as far as that historic rivalry, like you said. And it's just a classic tough Eastern matchup right now as far as the division goes.
Absolutely. So big 3rd down here for Carolina. They're going to try and keep the clock moving. They're going to hand it off up the middle, and that's going to be Harish Prasad, who cannot get the 1st down. It's a good play by the defense of Atlanta. That was Moose Papineau coming in.
Yeah, and able to hold them down, and I imagine Carolina going to take their 3 and make it a 24-point game, and you can only imagine with that field goal, and I mean, it could have said it a while ago, the bow is going to be placed on top of the coffin of the Atlanta Swarm. And Atlanta's going to have to look at their home crowd with a loss. Carolina going to be going just a little bit up north back to the Carolinas with a win, and going to continue on to their last game of the season with a bunch of momentum.
We've reached a 2-minute warning here in the Hive in Atlanta, Georgia. I'm Mike O'Neill, DJ Kilgannon beside me, and we got a little bit of a runaway here at the end of the game, and Carolina's going to put up another field goal. It was Malone Brown with the make, and making it 27-3, Carolina up. And let's look forward to the future right now. Obviously, there's still a little bit of time for Atlanta, but you got to imagine, right, their offense hasn't really been able to find anything working, against this Carolina defense. So looking at Atlanta going forward, right, we know they have Oklahoma City and they have Nashville. I mean, these are 2 games they can definitely take, right, DJ?
Definitely. I mean, those 2 teams, I mean, if you were to play them, the strength of victory of 0 between them having no wins. I mean, it's definitely a doable matchup. You can win that game. It's just a matter of actually being able to capitalize and pull it out, which they certainly can.
Yeah, I think that realistically, if you're given notes just as a broadcaster, DJ, what's one thing that you would tell Atlanta to change about their offense going forward? Or what's one thing you would think that they need to work on?
I'll kind of tandem it with the first part. You need to talk to Bryant Dynasty, and he needs you got to use the Men in Black memory wiper. You have to wipe this game out of your memory. If he goes into these next few weeks playing like he did tonight, playing as scared as I imagine he will after throwing this many interceptions in a game, it's not going to be good. You got to let him come back into full force Bryant Dynasty that everyone here in Atlanta knows and loves. And I think if that can happen, you know, they're going to be looking good for the next few weeks.
Dynasty going to drop back, fire across the middle. That's a little overthrown there. And again, you got to think he's just a little gun shy right now, just because of everything that's happened in this game so far. And it's going to set up a 3rd and 5. Got to imagine they're going to keep it in the air.
Yeah, you know, you got to think so. And I guess we'll see if we see another one in coverage. I mean, Carolina definitely knows it's coming, putting them in a dime package. Plenty of defensive backs on the field to help with the coverage.
We're going to see Ryan Roosevelt go in motion from the left to the right. Dynasty's going to drop back. He's going to fire out, and it's going to be dropped. Tried to get it out to Ryan Roosevelt, but again, the story of the evening, the coverage by the secondary of Carolina, just so good.
Yeah, I mean, just bottling it up completely, and it's, you know, it's a lot harder to convert when the other side knows what's coming, but, I mean, that's part of the game. You know what I mean?
4th and 5 here. And you got to imagine it all coming down to this. Dynasty's going to drop back and fire, and that's going to be caught by Fox Highwind. They got a little bit of life, and we're going to see a timeout called for Atlanta.
Yeah, and some positivity for Atlanta as this one closes out. Try and continue it. I mean, you know, save some respect for yourself. You know, keep firing down the field. Try and get some more points on the board. You know, try your best to come out of this one with your head held high. Excuse me.
We're going to see 1st and 10 here. Bryant Dynasty under center. He's going to send Ryan Roosevelt in motion from the left to the right. Carolina's defense, they've got to be ready for this as Dynasty's going to fire across the middle, and that's going to be caught. They're going to use another timeout here. You got to imagine they got to get things in motion a little bit more.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, with this Carolina win, Mike, that is going to crown them as East Division champions, having already beaten Florida and Atlanta.
Wow. Yeah, and Carolina, I mean, you see, they've been such a good team, consistently good team this season.
Yeah.
As we're going to see Dynasty under center, excuse me, as Boo Chisholm's going to go in motion from the left to the right. He's going to fire across the middle, and there's why not Arrowhead. And why not get the tight end involved right now, right? So 1st and 10. Dynasty's going to keep it moving. He's going to sit back in the pocket and go out to the right side. Tries to get it out to Arrowhead and just unfortunately can't hang on to it. Looked like some really good coverage there by a couple of the defensive backs for Carolina.
Yeah, you know, just do your best as this one closes out. And try and get some more completions. Like we said, that respect factor. Just keep continuing to do what you do best.
Dynasty under center here. They've got a lone back in the backfield. Fox Highwind is going in motion from the right side to the left side. 3 wide receivers split out. Dynasty's going to drop back. He's going to fire out to the left and just overthrew an out route to Fox Highwind. Just a little bit out of the way, and he's lucky that one wasn't going back the other way.
I mean, you can definitely tell he's shaken up, Mike. And rightfully so. I mean, you're seeing off-target throws. You're seeing silly throws that he shouldn't be making. This isn't the Dynasty that we usually see week to week.
3rd and 10 here. Bunch set. Dynasty under center. He's got 3 wide receivers to his left, 1 to his right. He's going to drop back in the pocket, fire downfield, tries to get it out to Siege Falco. And what a good play by the defense of Carolina. I believe it was number 28 getting a hand on it.
Yep.
Skippy Curtis.
Yeah, and having him continue in the big night for Skippy after the first touchdown of their career. And now Atlanta going to attempt the 53-yarder. And, you know, we talked about the respect factor, just trying to get some points on the board, but this one is still really far.
And it looks good. It's going to go through. Wow, hitting a 53-yarder. A good kick there. Sammy Steele putting it through for 53, and that's a great field goal. Despite, you know, you don't want to see a 3 points in that situation, but, you know, hey, padding the stats up for Sammy Steele. We're going to get ready for an onside kick. Let's see if Atlanta can get this back and make it a little interesting. And they are not going to get it back. In fact, it's going to go the other way. It looks like it's going into the end zone for Carolina. And I got to tell you, DJ, I hate to say it, but that's going to be the breakaway play of the game. That is That is the breakaway play of the game, brought to you by Breaks GPT, sports memorabilia breakers and collectors. You never know whose autographed helmet or jersey you might hit. Check them out at breaksgpt.com. I had to do it.
Yeah.
I hate to do it, but that's the nail in the coffin, DJ.
It is, man. It is. It's that final pile of dirt on top of the grave of what is this Atlanta squad tonight. And that was Prung Kennedy, the guard on that, or the halfback on the touchdown there.
Wow.
On the offside.
So the rotational player getting into the mix a little bit. I mean, that's unbelievable. So Carolina's had touchdowns from special teams and defense tonight. 2 touchdowns from defense and 1 touchdown from special teams. Unbelievable.
Yeah, and you talked about your offensive player of the game for Atlanta, Sammy Steele. Nailed that 53-yarder. Great kick for him. And you look at Carolina. This win will make them 7-4, Mike. And you look at their best season all time. They have gone 7-5 3 times.
Wow.
Once last season, once in season 20, once in season 11. This is going to be, so far, their best season to date. If they lose another, that's going to tie. If they get another win, this will be their best season ever.
Right. Sin City, it all depends on Sin City. Yeah,
absolutely.
Absolutely. So congratulations to the Carolina Skyhawks for winning the East Division with this win. Your season 24 East Division champions as Fox Highwind picks up 5 on that first 10, and they're going to go hurry up here. So you got to imagine. Little game update. Oklahoma City's up 24-20 on Indianapolis with 23 seconds in the third quarter right now, for those of you guys paying attention, as we're going to see a 3rd and 5 here for Atlanta, and they've got no timeouts. You got to think you got to go for the sidelines, and it looks like they're going to come out in the gun formation, right? They're going to come out here and just try and sling it.
Yeah, I respect it.
Bryant Dynasty out of the shotgun. He's got some good protection in the back. He's going to fire it over, and that's going to be, I believe, Ryan Roosevelt on that catch, and now they're going to spike the ball. And look, you keep doing a little more things like that, I mean, really can't hurt you.
Yeah, I think that was Boo Chisholm who was able to.
Oh, Boo Chisholm, okay. Hall of Famer showing up yet again.
Yeah. And like I said, I could be wrong, usually am, but Atlanta still having enough self-respect to keep firing the ball downfield. Love to see it. Love to see their heads still up at a decent high stature.
How about the throw by Bryant Dynasty, threading the needle?
First catch for Falco there.
Yeah, and Falco showing up big here. They're going to spike the ball here. 22 seconds on the clock. You'd love to see an Atlanta touchdown, right?
Yeah.
To carry a little momentum into the rest of the game. You've had so many interceptions on the offensive side, and you got to imagine just 1 touchdown would bring back that love and feeling for Bryant Dynasty going into next week.
And it's just been bad for them offensively. And like you said, 1 touchdown will help. It'll at least have things to build off of going into the next week.
Dynasty going to fire down, and guess who? Hall of Famer showing up at a critical moment, Boo Chisholm, and they're going to continue to move things. You got to get back to the line of scrimmage and spike it quickly, as we're going to go under 10 seconds now. Spiking it with 8 seconds left. You got about 2 plays, I would say, left on the clock.
Yeah, and last time they were in this range, they kicked a field goal. I think they might do it again. Just to try and, no, they're going to keep her going. They're going to try and get some more yardage and maybe try and shoot for a touchdown this time.
You'd love to see it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, 2nd and 10 here. Dynasty's going to drop back in the pocket. He's going to fire it out to Fox Highwind, and they've got to get back to the line, and they're not going to have time. That is going to do it here in Atlanta. Carolina Skyhawks clinching the East Division for season 24. DJ, break it down. What do you got for us?
Just defensive domination. Go ahead and crown Carolina. Put that crown atop that bird head and give them the title of the East Division champions in a division that has been, it feels like run by Florida for so long. They're finally able to pull through, and it clinches it. And, they still got a game to go, and they could have their best season to date. It's got to be huge for them. And, I feel like this is going to be a very interesting question, Mike, but who is your player of the game? Who's your game ball going to?
Oh, I think, okay, this one's going to be a little crazy.
Okay.
Not crazy, but I think you got to give it to Stinson. right?
Yeah.
Because Stinson not only had the pick six, how many times did we see Stinson disrupting the passing game for Atlanta and
Yeah, a
just
whole
being
bunch, yeah.
around the ball? I mean, unbelievable job by Danny Stinson, but all the linebackers, the entire defense. And this is going to send a message now going forward to Sin City. Interesting to see how the rest of the season goes. For everybody, I'm Mike O'Neill, DJ Kilgannon alongside me here in the booth. We got Zach Holdorf and Ron Haynes in the stats truck. Thank you, gentlemen. Commissioner Cameron Irvine back at SFL HQ. We'll see you guys later. Have a good night.
Good night, everyone.